And good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on a chilly Thursday evening. What a day, what a day, what a day. We'll give some more folk an opportunity to get in, come on in the room, and we'll get started with our recap from day three, the final day of the William Edwards um, trial. I know most of you have heard the verdict, but we just want to give you a recap, kind of talk about what happened inside the courtroom today. As you're coming in, I do want to take this opportunity to simply say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing with us, for giving to us, for donating to us, for supporting us. Honestly, it's because of you that we are able to do this, and we are grateful for all of you that are sowing seeds, that are sharing videos, that are giving encouraging words, right? We're very, 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 very grateful for all of you for your engagement. We don't take any of that for granted at all. You can donate to us tonight. Top of the year, first of the year, we're going to have some great packages for small businesses. We'll tell you all about how you can support. So at the first of the year, um, attorneys, small businesses, no matter what your business is, this is an awesome platform for you to support, to garner exposure, to really get your information out. And so we'll be telling you how you can do that in a formal kind of way, beginning at the top of the year. We've got some great things planned. We're talking about expanding this thing, right? And really, really, really making sure that we cover statewide issues, right? We want to be able to talk about, excuse me, want to be able to talk about statewide issues, and so we certainly want you to be on board. Our goal is to have some field reporters across the state. So big news items from North Mississippi, Southwest Mississippi, the coastal area. We want to be able to get those stories and bring those stories to you. So we are looking at bringing on a string of reporters. And so your support is desperately needed. You can do that tonight. Our Cash App info is scrolling across your screen right now. $ Othor Cain, Othor Cain. Feel free to share it. Feel free to support. Um, um, Again, your support is crucial to independent media. Your support is crucial to maintaining an independent voice, right? I'm a firm believer that we have to be in control of our own narratives, and I don't think anybody can tell our stories like we can, right? I don't think anybody can tell our stories like we can. So, again, to all of you that have already supported, thank you. I had um, someone with a real estate agency reach out yesterday to say that they want to support. They're getting ready to expand their business, and they want to sign on with us. And so we got some great packages that we're going to offer you the first of the year. So get ready, get ready, get ready, right? Get ready, get ready, get ready. All right. So listen, come on in, guys. So I want to jump right in tonight. I want to jump right in, but we certainly want you guys to come on. Let's get the numbers up tonight so that we can begin our conversation. It was a very interesting day in court. Long day, very interesting day. Very interesting day. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing tonight. So I appreciate it. Thank you, sharing. Let's see here. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, I do appreciate it. So Kelly, thank you very much. Sherry, thank you very much. We certainly do appreciate it. So, a long day in court today, a very interesting day in court today. And so, I know that you are aware of the verdict, but I just want to read just a little bit. I don't know that we were able to get the verdict pulled for you. But let me just say this, and we'll go on and jump in this. So the man known as Polo, William Edwards. Hey, Carol, Sheila, Bunny, good evening to y'all. Thank you for being here. So the man known as Polo could spend the rest of his life behind bars after several hours of deliberation. A jury tonight found William Polo Edwards guilty of first-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a firearm. The defense rested its case earlier in the day today, and the jury then began deliberation shortly thereafter. And again, after several hours of deliberation, the jury announced that they found Edwards guilty on both counts. The former social media influencer and radio host is accused of shooting and killing 45-year-old Robert Davis on May 1st of 2022. He is scheduled to be sentenced on a Tuesday. Joy, good evening to you, sir. He's scheduled to be sentenced on Tuesday. So my mind is all over the place, and I'm trying to figure out the best place to start, just in terms of recapping. And I guess I'll start here because I've got to give honor where honor is due, and I know I've been doing this for the last two nights already, but I gotta give honor to whom honor is due, and I think honor is due to Judge Faye Peterson. While Faye is not the senior circuit judge, while she is not the senior circuit judge, you would think that she has been on this bench for 20, 30 years. If memory serves me correctly, and I've not done any research on this, but if memory serves me correctly, I believe Judge Peterson was elected to the bench the same year that Mike Espy ran the first time for United States Senator. If memory serves me correctly, I believe that Judge Peterson was elected that same year that Mike Espy ran for United States Senate, if memory serves me correctly. And so, that wasn't that long ago, right? And though Mike ran twice, but I believe that Judge Peterson was elected the first time he ran, right? I believe, yes. I'm just trying to think. I do think that is correct. I do think that is correct. That she won her race the first time that Mike Espy ran for United States Senate. And so my point is this: it hasn't been that long, and you would think that she's been on the bench. You would think that she's been on the bench like 30, 40 years because of the way she runs her courtroom. I mean, it's amazing. You know, um, I'm even afraid of the bailiffs when I go in there, and I'm not afraid of those guys at all. But when I am in her courtroom, hell, I'm afraid of them, right? Because I'm telling you, they carry out her commands, her wishes, her rules, her decorum. They carry out all of those things, and so it's amazing to watch her. And though you see her sometimes, she's reading reports, or information from. You can see her reading some information from a previous trial. She's checking every I, right? She's dotting every I, crossing every T. She's checking all of this stuff. But what's even more amazing is how she could just roll this stuff off of her tongue. It's just embedded in her. She just knows, right? Uh, you've been waiting since 7. She just knows this stuff. She knows it. and she's just a no nonsense kind of judge. But even while being no nonsense, she has the uncanny ability to make people feel safe and to make people feel heard, right? She's not dismissive. I've seen judges be extremely nasty, extremely dismissive, but Judge Peterson has the ability to be firm yet fair, to be tough, yet she allows you to be heard, right? She allows you to be heard, and so she follows that, and everybody around her respects that. So big shout outs to Judge Peterson, just observing you and observing your professionalism and observing your decorum. It's absolutely amazing. So, more specifically to some of the things that happened today, I would tell you that today was not a good day, and I'm not talking just about the outcome, but today was just not a good day for the defense. It was just not a good day for the defense. I do believe that Judge Peterson allowed two or three of the defense witnesses to take the stand, but she ultimately dismissed the rest of them, and they were not able to offer a testimony. What I found very interesting is that one time she acknowledged to the defense that they had every opportunity to cross-examine some of the folk that they called to testify for them, right? So the defense called um, several of the state's witnesses as their witness, and I found it very interesting that one time Judge Peterson said that that the defense had every opportunity to cross-examine these witnesses when they were on the stand for the state, and they failed to do that, and as such she didn't allow some testimony to go forward. She also made a point about requests not being submitted, documentations not being submitted for her to hear certain things. And that was a mistake that the defense made, that they did not submit the requests, submit the documentations about wanting to admit some evidence into these proceedings. And she was very clear. And she was very firm, but she was very clear that just because it is your mistake doesn't mean that she was going to allow it to go forward. She was very clear on that. And let me say this too. I also my respect, and I promise you, I'm not blowing smoke, and I'm not just saying this. My level of respect for Judge Peterson actually elevated during this whole process. Let me tell you what she did, and I've never seen it done before. And I'm not saying that it's never been done. I'm simply saying I've never seen it. There was some discussion today, and I don't want to mess it up, but there was some discussion today about either a previous, about a witness that perhaps testified in the first trial, but was not allowed to be called on and testify in this one. And one of the reasons that I was impressed with her, because you know what? I don't know too many. I've never seen it before, but I don't know until today for me, I've never heard of a judge saying that the court erred. And I will tell you this, that the word court and judge is kind of used interchangeably, right? It's kind of used, and I had to learn that, many, many years ago. But the word court and judge is kind of used interchangeably. And one of the things that Judge Peterson said today was that she erred, that the court erred, right? She said the court erred um, in its allowance for some testimony to go forward last time. Anthony, brother, yes, she did. She took full responsibility for that. And I'm telling you, man, her stock level just went almost through the roof for me because I have never, and I'm not saying it has never happened. So don't misquote me. I'm not saying it has never happened. I'm saying I've never witnessed it happening. But she took full responsibility because she said that the court, and I'll say it again, the use of the term court and the use of the term judge, they are used interchangeably. Hey, Supervisor Evans, good to see you, ma'am. So the use of the word court and the use of the word judge, they are used interchangeably, right? And so Judge Peterson said the court erred in allowing certain testimony to go forward. Now, I don't necessarily remember now. I don't necessarily remember how she said the court erred. Um, um, I don't remember the specifics of it now. But what she did say was the court erred for allowing this particular witness and their testimony to go forward. And she also said that that particular testimony favored the defense. But the last time, but she erred in allowing, because she said once she started listening and really figured out where this witness was going, she said, I should not have allowed that. But because they were in the middle and she said okay and she allowed it, she let it go forward and played out. But she was very, very clear. She said, I will not make the same mistake again, and she did not allow it. She's just so clear and so thorough. She told Mr. Edwards that he could take the stand in his own defense, and she told him the pros and cons of him doing that, and how much it would weigh and not weigh. She was just masterful. She honestly, she could give a master's class in running a courtroom. She really could. She could give a master's class. She was masterful in that courtroom. And for me, this is me, and I hate comparing. I hate comparing, but it was a stark difference between what I witnessed in the Anthony Fox trial in Judge Adrian Wooten's courtroom to what I witnessed with the William Edwards trial in Judge Faye Peterson's courtroom. Just a stark difference, just a stark difference. Judge Peterson just knows the law. She knows verbiage and wording. You know what I mean? And even if you have to, jug her memory, in terms of just causing her to reflect on something that happened. When it hits, she says it right then and there, because the state was saying something, and she had this expression on her face like, I don't really remember that. She didn't say that, but she just had this expression on her face, and then it hit her. Now that you said that, I recall that, and I recall it explicitly, and she was able to articulate it. And even when I think one time the defense called out some page, I think the defense may have said page 532 in the previous trial. She immediately went to 532 and called him out. Nope, that's not on there. That's not on that page. And thus he had to scroll on down and get to the proper page. But very fair, very intentional, very strong, very solid, but very fair. Very, 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 very fair. And so I would say again, it was just not a good day for the defense because of procedural errors, technical errors. She just did not allow certain testimony to go forward. And the gentleman that was working with William Edwards understood it. He acknowledged that he understood it. He tried to challenge it, not in a negative, disrespectful way, right? not in a negative, disrespectful way, but he debated and argued his point in terms of why this should happen and why this, and she ultimately said, "No, we're not doing that at all." And then, during the Anthony Fox trial, we talked a lot about the horrible jury instructions that Judge Wooten gave the jury that tried him. We talked about the horrible jury instructions. But watching how it was done today, I am telling you, Faye Peterson could give a master's class, on running a courtroom. And I know some folks that need to plug into her, but I ain't calling no names, right? But listen, so she gave some instructions, the state gave some instructions, the defense gave some instructions. She went into recess to review the state's instructions, the defense instructions, and she merged them all into one set of instructions. And she tossed some out from the state, and she tossed some out from the defense, right? And she gave them an opportunity to argue, if they felt the instructions that they had given should remain, should stay. She gave them an opportunity, to argue that. And ultimately she tossed some out, on both sides. She combined, at least on the state's side, I remember clearly two of the instructions that they wanted to put forth. She felt that they were too much of the same. And she also said, not only is it too much of the same, it might be undue, influential, undue pressure. And so she said, I'm gonna take it under advisement, to toss one of them, keep one of them. And then the state said they wanted this particular one to stay because the other one was more of a definition and explanation of the one that they wanted to keep. And ultimately she went along with that. And so she recessed to go review all of that. She comes back, sums it up, takes some things away, and ultimately she has a list of instructions for the jury. Jury comes in, and when I tell you, she explained to the jury what you're supposed to look at, how you're supposed to examine it. Don't be unduly influenced. Use your notes. Don't share your notes with anybody, but use your notes to jog your memory. And I thought it was interesting, she said, just because you wrote it down don't necessarily mean that it was said or happened in this courtroom. So don't share your notes with anybody. Use the notes that you took for you and don't share it, right? And she really held the jury, to the fire. I gotta tell you, I am somewhat judgmental, or at least I was in this space, because I was looking at that jury and I was like, I don't know. I've always maintained that they were very engaged, right? They were very plugged in, but some of them were a little shaky to me, and I was thinking, I don't know. I don't know. But Judge Peterson was clear with those instructions, right? And she was just very, 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 very clear. All right, so I want to play a couple of clips, and then I want to come back and talk about it. So I want to play the closing arguments were interesting to me, and I chuckled a couple of times. So I want to play. We got about 3 clips from some of the closing arguments today. And so I want to play these clips. Then I kind of want to talk about both sides and their closing arguments. I think that there were strengths and weaknesses on both sides. That's just Othor Cain's opinion. And so I want to play these closing arguments clips, and then I want to come back and tell you actually how I saw it. Here we go.
And in the course of our conversation, I think we had several conversations, and I was imperative about getting you to get me turned in, correct?
You were. I told you, I said, man, you don't need to be out here and just get arrested. You said, but I don't want to get turned in without you. I want you to turn me in. I said, well, you're going to have to wait, because I can't focus on anything but the trial of me. And it was so serious, too. And I said, could I arrange with somebody? He said, no, I want you to turn me in. I just trust you. I said, okay. I said, well, be safe. so I'm gonna wait on you to turn me in.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you didn't give me any direction about leaving or hiding or anything like that, correct?
No, I did not.
You just told me to just sit still and try to wait on someone from your office to see if they can do it for me, correct?
Right.
Please, you're on direct. You do not leave.
I don't remember all specifics, but basically, right, I don't tell anybody to hide. I just told you what I couldn't do. And I told you to be safe, and, because they were looking for you. You don't want to get harmed. But I wanted you to turn yourself in. You said you wanted to. You just wanted me to do it. Correct.
And at any time after that conversation, did I reach back out to you any other time after that?
I think you may have tried or did. So long ago, I really don't remember. I know that you contacted me more than once, I think, about turning yourself in. Okay.
May 1st, 2022. You've heard it from at least 5 or 6 different officers. You heard it from the 911 call, the dates, the times. We know it was at 216 Hannah, which is in Clinton 1st Judicial District. That's a given. So number one has been proven and undisputed by many witnesses. The next part is William Urban Edwards unlawfully and with deliberate design killed Bobby Carlson Davis, a human being. We know that Mr. Davis was a human being. You saw photos of him. You heard testimony of who he was and what he was doing. He was cooking dinner for his friends and for the kids. So what you ask yourself is, and we know number 3, so we can skip ahead to it, by shooting with a firearm. You heard the transcript of the medical examiner that he was shot between 6 and 9 different times, and that the cause and manner of death was multiple gunshot wounds and a homicide. So you heard that. You saw the pictures also. So you know that he died by shooting with a firearm. So what's important is number 2, unlawfully and with deliberate design. So what you have to ask yourself is, what is deliberate design? So it goes to jury instruction number 11. And that's when it tells you. Deliberate design is when a person decides to unlawfully kill another person and there's no legally justifiable or excusable reason for doing it. The decision to kill can be formed quickly and may occur only moments before the actual act of killing. However, deliberate design cannot be formed at the exact.
And it is admitted before, and those foundational requirements are not going to be played. I know there's been much reference made in the sidebar to the prior testimony and what happened in the prior trial. Be very clear. This is not the same jury. Be very clear. The state is not even producing their case in chief in the same manner as before. This, for whatever reason, during the first trial, it was introduced during the state's case in chief. It has not been introduced in this case in chief, has not been introduced by the state, it's not part of their theory. If the defense wants to use it, it was available to be admitted by the witness who obtained it, and you can have a seat, Mr. Edwards, by the witness who obtained it during that time, during the proper manner. So this is not a surprise. The court made the parties aware on yesterday that it is in the discretion of the court in regard to recalling witnesses. And at this point, the court will take it under advisement at the moment, but right now, the court does not see a basis to recall a witness who was perfectly available during cross-examination for production of this and to answer any questions and to have had it admitted while that witness testified before. Your mistake does not mean that the court has to ignore the rules in these cases. So at this time, I'm going to take a moment to see if there's any exception that applies, but I know offhand that more than likely there is not.
And that last clip was what I was saying before in terms of the reason why she didn't allow a lot of the defense witnesses to come forward, because she clearly said that they had ample opportunity to ask these witnesses questions during cross-examination and that they did not present information that would change testimony. I want to say this as well. You saw the clip of Attorney Dennis Sweet, and so he was one of the defense witnesses that testified today. The only thing that I could garner or extract from Attorney Sweet's testimony was that I think Mr. Edwards was trying to, again, as he had done the day before with Officer Anthony Fox, Detective Fox. I think with Attorney Sweet, he was attempting to do the same thing. I think that he wanted to convey to the jury, to the court, that he said he was going to turn himself in. He said to Attorney Sweet that he was going to turn himself in. He wanted to turn himself in to Attorney Sweet and wanted Attorney Sweet to be there. So I think that he really wanted Attorney Sweet to lift that up. And he did. In fact, he did lift it up. That's the only thing that I was able to extract from Attorney Sweet's testimony. Outside of that, nothing. That's the only thing. And I think that's why they labored. That's why they hovered, not labored. That's why they hovered. Was Mr. Edwards' conversation. The fact that he called Mr. Sweet shortly thereafter the incident, and they talked a couple of times, right? He wanted to pull that. Ms. Polo said, "Is that legal to not allow the witness to testify?" Now, y'all don't get me, but I really don't know this part of the law. Is that legal to not allow the witness? Now, when you talk, I guess I'm trying to understand your question. Is that legal to not allow the witness to testify? I'm not sure that I understand that part. I'm not sure that I understand that. Are you talking about, is it legal that the defense or the state, they have all of these witnesses, and to not let their witnesses, testify? Is that what you're asking? And if that's what you're asking, I think it's very legal to not allow certain testimony to be entered into the court, particularly if it has no relevance to the case. Right. All of his witnesses were not allowed to testify. And like I said earlier, she really gave law as to why she did not allow their testimony to go forward. One of the things that she said was that they had ample opportunity to cross-examine some of the state witnesses, and they did not, right? And not only did they not cross-examine them with that particular line of questioning, not only did they not present that line of questioning during cross-examination, they also did not present any documents or highlight to her as to why these witnesses needed to be called again. And so, and like she alluded to in that clip that you just saw, was that just because you erred does not mean that the court should ignore the law. And she didn't ignore it, right? She stayed at the law, and she did not ignore that. I remember even yesterday, he wanted to highlight Mr. Davis's tattoo. We all have a past, right? We absolutely all have a past, and I think at one point maybe Mr. Davis was affiliated with the gang, and I think that he had a gang tattoo, and I think Mr. Edwards, and this is just me because she stopped him, but this is just me. I think Mr. Edwards was wanting to connect the fact that Mr. Davis had a past, a not so favorable past, but thank God for redemption. But that's another sermon. But I think Mr. Edwards wanted to highlight that Mr. Davis had a past, a not so favorable past, and that perhaps, just perhaps, someone else could have done this. Melissa says, "I wondered the same thing. Will it come up again in the future if he files an appeal?" Again, I'm just trying to get educated a little more regarding this subject as it pertains to the law. It very well could come up again. if he opts to appeal, and he likely will, it could, right? I think that I think he needs to get himself a good defense attorney so that they could have argued that point succinctly. Right? They didn't. They didn't know how. They did it. So it absolutely could come up again. But I will tell you this: Judge Peterson cited case law for every piece of instruction that she gave. And so, let it come up on appeal. But she's, hey, Ms. Harris, she said also some of the witnesses that he wanted to call from the first trial violated Mr. Davis' HIPAA rights. They absolutely did. And she was not going to allow that stuff to come in there. And so the point that I was making about that tattoo on Mr. Davis, Judge Peterson said, Judge Peterson said his character is not on trial, right? His character is not on trial. This trial is about establishing credibility, and it's up to the defense to establish that. But she was not, and it's just like shadows pass, because people in that first trial kept talking about she killed somebody, and she's not credible. That case was settled. That case was not on trial, right? Wasn't tried in her past. And I know that we are reactionary kinds of people, right? We are reactionary kinds of people. I get that. We are emotional kinds of people. And I get all of that, but when you're dealing with life or death situations, and you got the balances of somebody's life in the palm of your hands, you got to remove those feelings, and you got to be guided by black and white, guided by the law. You got to remove those feelings. You really, really, really do. Melissa says, thank you for the clarification. I didn't get a chance to watch the trial today, so I missed a lot of what you said. Yeah, Melissa, if you get a chance, go back, because she was very thorough. And every decision that she made, she cited case law, right? She was very clear about that. This was not, pulling something out of the sky in terms of making a decision on the fly. It was absolutely none of that. It was absolutely none of that. It was none of that. Now, I want to go to these closing arguments, and I gotta say this, and I think I said this earlier today. I don't know if I've said it on the broadcast tonight, but I think I said this earlier today. So, sorry, paper's falling. So today was not good for the defense, barring the outcome, barring the verdict. I'm not talking about the verdict, right? Just because he couldn't call a lot of his witnesses. And so it just wasn't a good day. But let me tell you something. When it came to the closing arguments, Polo shined. He shined. He shined. He didn't do bad at all with his closing arguments. Not to me. Now, I don't have a legal mind. Not to me. I was worried, I was worried that perhaps maybe it hadn't been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That was me. That's how I was feeling. Me thinking that I'm a mind reader and read all the body languages of all 12 of those drawers is what I was trying to do, right? He didn't do bad, and so let me tell you, and this is just total honesty, total transparency here. So in closing arguments, the state went first. I couldn't have done it. See, I could not have done it. 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 I don't know what that emoji is, Marquita. The state closing argument was what? Is that fire? Because this is where I'm getting ready to talk about the state's closing arguments. Exactly, Munchies. This is where I'm going. This is exactly where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. So the state had the first stab at closing arguments, and so you said that's fine. All right. So let me tell you something. So the state had the first stab at closing arguments, and I gotta tell you. That guy that was up first, he was kind of trash. Factual, but trash. You know, me thinking that I'm Perry Mason Jr., right? And watching all of these court shows, right? You know, those closing arguments, you got to come with the fire for real. But that first guy did it. Now, he was factual. Don't get me wrong. He was very factual. He just read from the screen, right? He just read from the projector and was telling them, you know, this is what you do. This is how you decide. He was very factual. But there was no fire, right? There was no fire. There was no conviction, right? There was none of that. No fire, no conviction, no nothing. And then here comes Polo. And I said, oh my God, Polo is putting this guy to shame. Right? Polo has put this guy to shame. Polo started talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, you know, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, you know, Medgar Evers. He started talking about them. And when he said Medgar Evers, I was like, oh my God, I hope Supervisor Evers is not listening. You know. But and so he was fired. He was good. He was good. Stumbled a couple of times, but he was good. He said, let me tell you a story, what my grandmother told me. So he played on emotions. And even with that toothpaste analogy, I thought it was good. Like, I thought it was really good. The toothpaste analogy, I thought it was good. Right? I thought it was good. But oh my God. When they used that next guy to offer the rebuttal to the defense closing arguments, that did it. That's where the fire was, because that first guy was trash. Factual, but trash. Factual, but trash. But that second guy who offered the rebuttal, when that man said justice is coming down your road, I was like, oh my God. He was waiting on that. He was waiting on that line. He was waiting on that line. He was masterful. And then that guy said, I got a story to tell too. I was like, my. Terrell, what's up, brother? Glad to have you here, man. I was like, my. Now that guy that offered the rebuttal in the closing argument, he was fire. He was fire. He was absolutely. First guy, trash, but factual. Trash, but factual. But that second guy, he rocked. He absolutely rocked. He said, you shouldn't be preaching Jesus Christ when you've murdered somebody. Yeah, and when he said you can put a lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, he was ready. He was absolutely ready. He brought the emotions. He brought the fire. Yeah, but I think so too. He waited all trial for that line. He was ready. But you know, I believe in closing arguments, you gotta grab the heart. You gotta pull at the heartstrings. You gotta grab the heartstrings of the jury, right? You gotta grab them at their heartstrings. You really do. And the first guy didn't do that. And I was like, oh, because Polo came behind him and just walked all over him. But oh, that last one, that last guy for the state, he brought the heat. He brought the fire. He really did. He brought the fire. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you. Much love. Got lots of love for you. I appreciate you. But today was good. Today was good. Proceedings were good. It was long, and thank God nobody pays me to be a legal mind. But I was thinking that I was going to have all of this time to do all of these things before they reached a verdict. Right? I was thinking I was going to have all this time. They deliberated only a couple of hours. I thought it was going to be much longer than that. I was like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. So I started, went back to the office, closed out, and um, um, ran some errands. And I was in the middle of one of the errands when I got the text and say, "We have a verdict. You need to get back." And I was like, "Is the jury back in?" Not yet, And I just did not have enough time to get back to hear in person the verdict being read. Caleb says the adult son should have been subpoenaed. That's all I have. I don't know. Didn't happen. I can't argue that. I do think that Mr. Edwards wanted to allude to that because he asked us several times about the adult son. He brought up several times about the crime scene not being secured, and he brought up several times the adult son being in the house. He brought that up several times, but obviously it didn't carry any weight in this space. But she says the state didn't need to call the son. If Polo was trying to point the blame on the son, he should. And that was said. That's right. That was said. If as the defense, that burden was on William Edwards and his team, right? If he knew that boy was in the house, the son was in the house, and he knew, and because he said, and once somebody that he was talking to said that one of the officers said that when they got there, the crime scene was not totally secure, and they did discover some folk in the house, and they pulled them out. And so, if Mr. Edwards had a real defense lawyer, I am certain they would have perhaps subpoenaed that adult son. And so that was on the defense. That was their error. I don't know why they opted not to do this, but you could see, during the proceedings, you could see the guy that was assisting Mr. Edwards scrambling and calling and trying, to get the people there. But I will tell you this. When I got the call and they said we have a verdict, didn't know what the verdict was by any stretch of the imagination. I just asked to be kept abreast, so that I could work out timing. But when I got the call that a verdict had been reached, and I was thinking, oh man, this short amount of time does not look favorable for Mr. Edwards. I was thinking they was going to have a long time, and I was thinking, they're going to have a long deliberation. I knew that it would be over tonight, but I thought it would have been, a little longer. But when it came back in that short amount of time, I was like, nah, this is probably not favorable for Mr. Edwards. Yeah. But it was interesting. I'll take a couple questions if you got questions. Not, we're gonna get out of here. I do want to say this though. The other day, and y'all are just the best. I mean, y'all are absolutely the best. And next week, I'm gonna build this out and really share more information. But the other day, I made a list of random thoughts, right? Just lots of things on my mind. Lots of things on my mind about some of the things that I'm doing, some of the things I'm trying to do, some of the things about where we are as a people, as a race, as a city, all that. I just made all these random thoughts. But one of the thoughts that I shared is something that I am doing Father's Day weekend. And I have gotten just great response. I didn't expect that kind of response so fast because I was like, okay, this is my thought. I just need to develop it. But I mean, folk just jumped on it. So let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. You can help too, and you can help sponsor a young man as well. But I am honestly trying to connect 100. Joseph Fox, my man, what's up, brother? I am honestly trying to connect 100 young boys, 100 young boys with 100 men in suits, right? I am trying to get 100 boys in suits along with 100 men in suits. We're going to gather and have dinner, right? I know what a suit did for me when I had my very first suit. It changed my mindset. It changed how I thought about myself. It changed how I thought about my future. It changed my level of respect for adult men, right? It changed all of that. And I want to get 100 boys, young boys in suits, but I want them paired with a brother, with an adult man. We're going to go to the West. We're going to go somewhere. We're going to eat. And we're going to go through etiquettes. We're going to go through self-esteem. And we're going to go through just real life stuff. And we're going to do it Father's Day weekend, that Saturday. Every boy, every young boy don't have a suit. So I need some brothers and sisters too to step up and help me get these 100 boys in a suit, get them to dinner. And we're gonna go through etiquettes, social skills, emotional skills. We're gonna do all of that with them. I know what a suit did for me. I know how it changed my mindset. I know how it gave me a different outlook on life and gave me a new level of respect for an adult male. That's what that suit did for me. I believe if we change the mindsets of these young boys, we can change our communities. You know what else we're going to do there that day? I'm going to have all young male choir there to perform. Maybe 100 voices choir to perform. I don't know, but we're going to do that. I am telling you what a suit did for me. What a suit did for me. It changed my level of respect for an adult male. It did. It changed my level of respect. I grew up in a single parent household, right? I didn't get an adult male mentor until way later on in life. That's why I mentor so much and work so much with young people, because I know what a mentor did for me, right? I know what a mentor did for me. And so I posted my random thought, knowing that I want to do it Father's Day weekend, that Saturday, but the response has been overwhelming. So, brothers, I'm challenging you, ladies, help sponsor a young boy in a suit, because it can change their life. We're going to do it the Saturday of Father's Day, and you watch what happens. You watch what happens. Watch what happens. Why, Brother Marcus, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. Nothing but love and respect. Nothing but love and respect. So thank y'all. Y'all please inbox me after the show and give me your contact info, because we're gonna make this happen, man. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna get 100 young boys in this city across the metro with 100 men in suits. If we change the mindsets of these young boys, I am telling you, we're going to change the narrative in Jackson. We're going to do it. Oh, Cynthia, thank you. Much love. I appreciate you guys more than you know. It really does take a village, and we are that village. All right? We're that village. We're that village. Let's make this happen. We're going to do a Father's Day weekend that Saturday. God has put this on my heart, and he put it on my heart, and it's been on my heart for years. But now he has kicked me in the butt and he said, do it. It's been on my heart for years, but I've gotten a swift kick in the rear that said, son, you better move. And so I got to do it. Thank you, Tamika. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. So thank you, guys. I appreciate the response. Don't take it for granted. I really do appreciate the engagement and the response. Let's make this happen for these young boys, all right? It takes a black man to groom a young black man. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Constable Lawrence Funches. We appreciate you. Absolutely. So y'all hit me up in my inbox after the show so I can go on and begin my running list. We're going to make this happen. This is going to be a good look. And I am telling you, we can change our environment. And I believe if we change the mindsets of these young boys, we can change the outcomes, right? We can change some serious outcomes. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much. I'm appreciative. I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much for sharing with us. From all of us here at the Othor Cain Show, have a good night.